Greetings and welcome to another Warhammer 40,000 Kill Team video, where today I'm going over the October 2025 stats for Kill Team. But before we get into things, please remember to like and subscribe as well as comment. Let me know what you thought of today's video, if you found it useful and helpful. Remember, I've got a Discord you can check out for free in the episode description below, and a affiliate link at Amazon Games, and a affiliate link on discount code at Crossfire Games, and a Patreon if you want to give me some more support. But let's get on with today's video. So yeah, once again, I am talking about the stats. So these are the global stats for Kill Team for the month of October. These have all been done by Smiles Lies Gunfire, so thanks goes to him, and please send him your thanks. And we've collated this basically all from Best Coast Pairings as well as a few other apps. So this is where all the data comes from. There will be our article version on the official stats website by Smiles Lies Gunfire in the episode description. So let's get on and see how the October stats are. So for the world map, America once again leading the way, nearly 600 players with 41 events, then Spain with 267 players and 20 events, then the United Kingdom with 241 players and then 12 events. But we've got a lot of regions going down, you know, like Canada, Poland, Australia, we've got Chile, and then we also even have like events in Switzerland, New Zealand, as well as Thailand. So let's look at the world map, and you can see how it looks like when put all the way together. So you can see it's quite dense, you know, America over like red hot white, but yeah, nothing really too much has changed. Around 2,000 players with about 148 events, so about average for the month, so a pretty decent spread. So for the October win rates, so this is from 8 or more players, 3 or more rounds. It's pretty bad. Going into this is probably the worst month of stats we've ever had. I think the only thing that comes close is like, look, Canoptic's at 65% win rate with 500 games. That's pretty bad. It's like Custodes level results. I was talking about with Smiles Lies Gunfire. This is pretty bad, everybody. It's not good. Like it's literally not until Custodes we had such a high win rate with so many games. Now, this is pre-World Championships of Warhammer Balance Dataslate, so things may get better. They may go down to 60, and then we'll be okay. Then you've got Chaos Cult, 64%, 91 games. They're doing very well. Galapox, 60% with only 10 games. That's rough. Wormblade, 51 games, 56%, and then Mandrakes, just above 55% at 177 games. Then we've got Deathwatch with a very cursed number for 55%. So it's still not good. Like being at the top end of 55% with over 600 games, 650 games is very bad. Like 650 games is like what some kill teams average every 3 months. So go Deathwatch. The most popular faction in the game. Corsairs, 55% on 65 games. Blades of Cain, 55% on 200 games. Brood Brothers on 54%. Raveners on 53. Then you got Nemesis Claw on 53. We'll see how the Vox Screen nerf hurts them. Jaegers at 52%. Legionary at 52. Blooded at 51, Kroot at 51, Hyrotech Circle at 49%, Aquilons at 49, along with Goremongers. Goremongers, one of their best months in the past 3 months, which is great for them. Star Striders at 48%, but only 28 games. Then we've got Felgor at 47%. Oh, we also have Halfkin at 48%, only with 62 games. Wreckers, 360 games with 47%. Commandos at 46, this is pre-buff. Vespids shooting up to 46. And Void Dancer Troop at 45, but they have lost about half their players. So it's probably going to get worse. Warp Coven at also 44%, and they're down to 60 players. You have to remember, like, the World Champions Warhammer patch dropped mid-month, but it wasn't in use. So it looks like people have already, like, preemptively left the faction. Same with Sanctifiers. They've lost about half their number, 164 games with only a 44% win rate. Phobos Strike Team at 43%. Kazakin shooting up to 41% with 23 games. Angels Death dropping down to 41% with 200 games. Inquisition dropping down to 41. Hand of the Archon at 40, Battleclade going up a bit at 40, Deathcore staying the same at 39, Pathfinder's going up a bit at 39, as well as Rattlings at 39, Hunterclade crashing down to 39, really bad month for them, Scouts the same at 39, then Plague Marines had a horrible month, 38% win rate, only 246 games, so not great there. Breaches dropping down unfortunately to 37%, with Novitiates at 35, and then Exaction down at the bottom with 34, well, 35 as well. So not a great month. Let's look at it in chart format. So yeah, it's still not good. But remember, while the Balance Dataslate dropped mid-month, it wasn't in use. It will be in use for the full month of November. The top end is very bad. Remember, the brighter it is, the color, the more players there are. So Canoptic just not good. We had 3,000 games. So actually above average game-wise for the month, which is very good. And then we still have a wide number of underperforming teams, a wider middle range of teams this month, which is good. You know, pre-buff, this is good, but it's bad. Like, there's no way you can spin this. This is not a good-looking month at all for the game. Now we go into podium data. So as this covers like the wide range of the general win rates, it just shows how many times a faction was picked, how many times they won an event, and how many times they went undefeated. So this is all the numbers version. And as you can see in the chart, gosh, Canoptic won 16 events. Oh gosh, they won 16 events and went undefeated 17 times. I've never seen that before. My gosh, it is Custodies. Then we've got Deathwatch, who won 12 events and then went undefeated 6 times. There's Tomb World is just so great. I love power creep. Raveners, they won 8 events, went undefeated 3 times. Nemesis Claw and Mandrakes both won 6 events, going undefeated 4 and 3 times. Chaos Cult won 5 events. Blazercane won 4, going undefeated 3 times. Jaegers, Wreckers, Goremongers, and Angels of Death all won 4 events, also all going undefeated 2 times. 8 Plague Marines won 3 events, going undefeated once, so despite their low win rate, they did do quite well tournament-wise. Sanctifiers won 2 events, went undefeated 4 times. Legionary and Hierotech both won 2 events and went undefeated twice. Aquilons, Halfkin, and Vespid won 2 events and went undefeated once. Then Void Dancer Troop, Phobos, Battleclade, and Farstalkers all won 2 events. And then Deathcore, Corsairs, and Felgor won 1 event, going undefeated 2 times and 1 times each. And then Commandos, Exaction, Blooded, and Wormblade all won 1 event. Brood Brothers went undefeated twice along with Warp Coven. And then Hand of the Archon, Rattlings, Inquisition, and Hunterclade all went undefeated once. The only factions to not win an event or go undefeated are Scouts, Pathfinders, Starstriders, Novitiates, Breaches, Kazakin, and Gelapox. So very interesting spread of data there. Obviously the top end is cursed, absolutely cursed data we have before our eyes. But actually, balancing out the win rate data, a lot of factions did pretty well. So, you know, it helps show that win rate isn't everything. And outside of the top 2 teams, podium data is pretty healthy. Like Mandrakes had a really good month when it came to tournament wins. Now for GT Plus, this is for events with 4 more rounds and 16 or more players. This is more the competitive set of data that Games Workshop focuses on. So we have Gelapox, 75% win rate with 4 games. They're the best around. And then Chaos Cult, 69% with 52 games. Very well. Then we have Canoptic, 263 games and a 63% win rate, which is completely fine. Corsairs, 61%, but only 23 games. Wormblade at 59%, but only 23 games as well. Blades of Cain, they go up to 57% with 114 games. And then Deathwatch with 56% on 317 games. So they've actually done a lot better at GT Plus, and this is something I'll touch more along near the end of the videos. I do have a certain preview with the stats. Then with Goremongers, they do much better at competitive events. They go to a 54% win rate with 139 games. Then you have Jaegers going up to 54%, Raveners at 53, Mandrakes at 53, Brood Brothers at 52 with Nemesis Claw, Felgor at 51, Starstriders at 50% with Aquilons and Farstalker Kinband, as well as Legionary at 49 with Wreckers, and then Hierotech at 49, Blooded at 47 with Commandos, and as well as Phobos. So below 45, we had Vespid just at 45, Void Dancer Troop at 44%, Battleclade going up to 42, Inquisition going down to 42, Sanctifiers at 42, Warp Coven at 41, Scouts at 41, Breachers at 39, Halfkin, oh my gosh, 37, Pathfinders 36, Hand of the Archon at 35, Angels of Death down to 34, but only 59 games. Hardly anyone is playing them at competitive events. Angels of Death, Plague Marines down to 34% at 119 games, Hunterclade at 33, Ratlings at 32, Novitiates at 29, Kazakin at 25%, Exaction at 23%, and Deathcore at 18. So let's look at it in graph format. So as you can see, it's even worse, even worse. We about half of the factions are now underperforming when you go to GT Plus, which is what you love to see in a game. You've got a decent chunk of teams performing fine, 55 to 45%. And then you just have a really, ignore Gallopux, it's only 4 games. We have a really wild top end, like Chaos Cult, consistently doing really well, but not the hugest sample of games. And then Canoptic and Deathwatch just kind of messing everything up. So, just another great trend. Then here's the GT Plus podium data. So this time we can track podiums as well as how many times a faction went minimum 1 loss, maximum 1 loss and 3 or more wins. So as you can see, oh my God. So Canoptic won 4 events. They podiumed twice. They podiumed 6 times, sorry, and they went undefeated 2 times. And then they had the second highest ratio of 3 and 1s. Then we had Goremongers. They won 3 events, podiumed twice and went undefeated once. Then Deathwatch, they had the highest ratio of 3 and 1s. So they're doing very well. They won 2 events and podiumed 6 times. So a very consistently performing faction if you want to take them competitively. Then you had Chaos Cult winning 2 events, podiuming once. You had Raveners winning 1 event, podiuming twice and going undefeated once. Hierotech winning an event, going undefeated and podiuming. Aquilon's winning event and podiuming as well. The Nemesis Claw-Blooded, Phobos, Handkin, and Halfkin all won an event. Blades of Cain podium twice, podium once and went undefeated twice. Brood Brothers and Mandrakes podium twice. Then Legionary, Angels of Death, Ratlings, Wormblade, Vested, and Felgor all podiumed once as well. And then when it goes to 3 and 1 ratios, you also have an interesting spike from Wreckers. So they didn't podium, but they did kind of very well from a tournament performance-wise. So just an interesting spread of data. Now here's the GT Long win rate. So this is for this is for events with 5 or more rounds and 30 or more players. These are basically super majors. So, because there's a lot less of these, you're gonna see missing factions. But we have Chaos Cult at an 80% win rate with 22 games. Wormblade at a 77% win rate with 13 games. Canoptic at a 61% win rate with 149 games, which is not a good sign. Deathwatch also at 59% with 180 games. So once again, Canoptic and Deathwatch are doing what Sanctifiers and Hierotech were doing before, in the last 3 months, where it's really bad when you see this level of consistent performance at GT Long. It's really bad. Then you've got 58% with Blades of Cain at 60 games, Star Striders 56% but only 9 games, then Void Dancer Troops at 55, Aquilons at 54, Raveners at 54 with 137 games, Jaegers at 53, Farstalkers at 53, Mandrakes at 52, Blooded at 52, Felgor at 51, Corsairs at 50%, only 5 games. Then we had Battleclade at 49%, Wreckers at 49, then we had Legionary at 48, Nemesis Claw at 48, and then Phobos at 46 with Goremongers at 45. Then below 45%, we have Halfkin at 44, Commandos at 44, Pathfinders going up to 43%, Vespid at 42, Sanctifiers dropping down to 42%, Hierotech dropping down to 40, Brood Brothers at 40, Breachers at 39, Inquisition at 39, Angels of Death at 36, Plague Marines at 36, Hand of the Archon at 35, Ratlings at 30, Hunterclade at 20%, Scouts at 20%, and Deathcore at 12. So as you can see in the chart, it's a bit wonky. Right? You still got the crazy top end, the crazy bottom end, and a small middle end. So no real change there. We just have more factions doing worse. But as I said, GT Long doesn't have a large sample size, so it's kind of to be expected. Then for the GT Long podiuming data, so Canoptic mysteriously won 2 GT Long events. I wonder who won LVO with them. And then they also podium twice, and the highest ratio of 3 and 1. Then Blooded, Chaos Cult, and Jaegers all won an event, which is very good. Blades came podium once. Were undefeated once, sorry. Deathwatch podiuming twice, and they also had the tide for the highest ratio in 3 and 1s. Then Ravenous, Goremongers, Wormblade, Vespid, and Mandrakes all podium once, and then Aquilons had the second, well, tied for second highest with 3 and 1 ratios. So, ignoring Deathwatch and Canoptic, not a bad spread of results. So here's the quarter 3 data. So this is looking, well, quarter 3, quarter 4, you know, looking at everything, seeing what basically how things ended, whether the Balance Dataslate was right. So for GT Plus, Canoptic, 360 games, 62%, it's not good at all, like so bad. 61% for Wormblade, but only 57 games. Deathwatch at 57% with nearly 500 games. This is only like GT Plus. Like it's much worse when you look at all events. So, you know, Tomb World riding strong. Hyrotech just at 56% with 377 games. Then you've got in the healthy range, you've got Chaos Cult, Void Dancer Troop, Sanctifiers, Nemesis Claw, Hunterclade, Aquilons, Blades of Cain, Novitiates, Galapox, only 44 games. Felgor, Ravenous, Brood Brothers, Legionary, Jaeger, Warp Coven, Mandrakes, Corsairs, Wreckers, Phobos, Inquisition, Goremongers, Starstriders, and Farstalker Kinband, with Commandos and Blooded both at 45%. So just below 45%, you have Angels of Death, Vespid, Hand of the Archon, Scout Squad, Exaction, Breachers, Plague Marines, Ratlings, Halfkin, Battleclay, Pathfinders, Deathcore, and Kazakin. So not the greatest look. And here it is in graph format. So overall, we actually do have a wider range of healthy teams for the 3-month quarter. We still have a large chunk of underperforming teams now performing worse than they were previously, but it's not as wide as it used to be. And the top end isn't actually too bad. The top end is the Tomb World kill teams, which is great. You know, you've got Wormblade there and Hyrotech, but Hyrotech went down and down basically once the nerfs hit in. So it's just Tomb World, you know. So this is it's fine. Don't worry about it. And here's the podium data for the quarter. So as you can see all the stats here. And in the graph, this shows like how the placing rate, averaging that all out, thanks to Smiles. So Novitiates were actually the best performing placing faction. Oddly, because they still have a hardcore dedicated group of players. Then Wormblade, they did quite well. And then obviously Canoptic, because yeah. Chaos Cult at Hunterclade both did really well this once. Deathwatch, because of their wired player base, it actually brings them down despite their high level of tournament wins and performances. Then you actually have Void Dancer Troop, they had a really good month along with Inquisition. And then below outside of their healthy range, Halfkin, Corsairs, Plague Marines, Wreckers, Farstalker Kinband, Commandos, Exaction, Battleclade, Breachers, Scouts, Kazakin, and Deathcore, which aren't really surprising. And thankfully, a lot of those teams have had buffs, so we've still got a really wonky end, but it's not too bad. And then here's just the list. There were so many events. It's a lot, so you get to see all of that. So for the October 2025 stats overview, the stats are, this is like the worst month we've ever had. Like, it's very bad. I was speaking to Smiles, and it's basically the last time we saw this level of performance from a kill team when it comes to stuff like Canoptic was Talons of the Emperor back to when the game first launched. We've not seen a kill team with so many games and such dominating performance from both win rates and podium performance. Now, once again, this is pre-nerf. Like now the nerf will go into effect for November. I still don't think this will change much. As I said, I'm pretty sure Canoptic will just drop by 5% of a win rate. Like they'll go from 65 to 60. They are still basically the best team in the game, tied with Deathwatch. Deathwatch are also a really interesting faction. They are the most popular faction in the game, but they're dominating both at the casual aspect and at the top end. So normally when we saw it for like Angels of Death would get worse the more players they had. But with Deathwatch, it's not really been that way. You've still got a core set of very good players playing Deathwatch. So not only are they dominating at the casual end, they're dominating at the top end. They have an insane ratio for podiuming and winning events. Almost like not as consistent as Canoptic, but very close, which is incredibly good for a faction. So, you know, if people are shouting that, you know, basically Tomb World is power creep, you can now look at the stats and say, like, you were right. Like from data alone, it does show there's insane power creep from the Tomb World kill teams. But the interesting thing, I was chatting to Smiles about this, the Tomb World kill teams make up 20% of the meta. So 20% of the player base is playing either Deathwatch or Canoptic. If you remove those factions from the game, obviously it does like change stuff, but the meta is actually fine. You can see in the quarterly data, if you basically just remove Canoptic and Deathwatch from the game's actually in a good spot. And based on the Balance Dataslate, I would agree as well. Like Deathwatch and Canoptic are warping the game. But, you know, unfortunately, we're going to have to wait for another 3 months for that to fully fix, which isn't great. And, you know, we've got new teams coming. Will they be power crept like the Tomb World kill teams? It's difficult to say. But ignoring the Tomb World situation, like moving on from it, I mean, like Mandrakes had a great month. Mandrakes did really well. More so at the free round event kind of thing. They won more events there and it petered off as it went up to more competitive events. But then like, we also had Sanctifier players. So for Sanctifier, Hierotech and Warp Coven players, their players have just abandoned the faction along with Void Dancer Troop. Void Dancer Troop is really interesting because they still did really well for October, despite the exodus they had. So it's like, they're still a good faction, but I think a lot of people have just given up, especially with them being yassified now. And it's like Sanctifier players were already jumping ship because of the Tomb World teams, and now it seems like they've just gone like, I don't want to play this team anymore. But it's interesting. Vespid had a great month. Goremongers had a really good month. Goremongers did very well overall, you know, much better than before. And this is before the buffs and nerfs. So it'll be interesting to see how that plays out. Wreckers did really well. They didn't win any events, but they went undefeated. They did really good podium, like 3-1 ratios. So they're just there. This is before their buffs. Rattlings had a really bad month, unfortunately. They were doing well in the last 2 months, and then this month they just messed up a bit. Honk and Jaeger consistently performing well, regularly outperforming Halfkin Salvages, and I think they're a real gem of the Approved Ops 2012 changes. They had some minor buffs as well. You know, unfortunately, we had the same underperforming teams, still Kazakin, Scout Squad. Breaches did really badly this month. Hunterclade oddly just dropped off. Like the last 2 to 3 months, they were doing very well, like incredibly well, overperforming, and just crashed out. Chaos Co is also doing very well. They are overperforming. They do have a smaller player base, like in terms of player number. But if Gelapox were trashed basically because of one person playing them, I would be worried if I was a Chaos Co player. You might only have 3 months left with the faction before they get some kind of nerf. Now, this is only 1 month of performance, but in the quarterly stats, they were doing very well in 2. So we'll have to see how that plays out for the next month. Well, the next 3 months anyway. But you have to remember, we've got the new Balance Dataslate coming. Well, it's live now, so for November, it'll be in effect. Hopefully, we should be getting the Dead Silence kill team soon. And then, you know, we've got that. We'll have more events. We'll have the World Championships of Warhammer, so a huge 10-round event. You know, this month covered LVO 2025 too. So it'll be very interesting to see how that plays out. And then, obviously, as it goes into the winter months, so November, more so in December and January, the game will die down a bit as it normally does. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see how it plays out. But thanks once again goes to Smiles, Slice and Gunfire, because without him, none of this would be possible. But that's pretty much it for me today. Please remember to like and subscribe as well as comment. Let me know what you thought of today's video if you found it useful and helpful. Remember, I've got a Discord you can check out for free in the episode description below, an affiliate link Element Games, an affiliate link to code at Crossfire Games, and a Patreon if you want to give me some more support. And I'm just going to quickly shout out my patrons. So for my adepts of the crew, I have Freddy, Vadim, Alexis, Alex, Marshall, the Houston Toad, Dan, Amorphium, Draken, Fangzu, Lucas, Chris, Graham, Tom, Mr. Meatwad, Dada Goldens, Nick, Supercount, and then for my veterans of the crew, I have Ramus and Rolling Zeros. So thank you so much for your support. It really means a lot to me and helps support the channel. But yeah, just one video this week. I was thinking about doing a video yesterday on Wednesday, depending on what they did with the Balance Dataslate, but nothing changed. So, you know, I'm just getting ready for the World Championships of Warhammer next week, getting stuff ready, you know, bought some Gundam cards, so I have some new brain rot. And yeah, the stats are pretty bad. I don't know, because like personally, it's going to take another 3 months for things to get better, right? And there are not many events coming up in that period, so I may not stop playing Kill Team, but dial it back heavily. I don't know. It's just, like, if you're playing a top team at the moment, the game is fine. If you're not, it's not enjoyable whatsoever. So it'll be interesting to see. I know a lot of people have picked up these teams in terms of the 2 mode teams because of the level of events going on, you know, like LVO and the World Championships of Warhammer. So it's you know, maybe it's just tournament season, then it'll die down once that all quietens for a bit over the winter period. But we'll see. But remember, no matter what the stats say, you always have a chance to win as long as you can roll a crit.